Social entrepreneurship and social enterprise organizations have really taken flight over the past decade. Though the idea of social enterprise has really been around for several decades, people are taking an increasing interest in this business model now, particularly for its baked-in ability to generate sustainable revenue while also making a positive social impact. But how exactly social enterprise works is still a mystery to a lot of people. So in this video, I'm going to share 7 examples of social enterprise organizations out there making a big impact in the world, and I hope that it inspires you and sparks some ideas. Welcome to my channel. I'm Amber Melanie Smith. I am a nonprofit founder and executive director. Love making these videos here on YouTube to help folks who are just out there trying to make an impact in a variety of ways, whether it's through starting a nonprofit or social enterprise, or trying to make an impact in other ways too. So be sure to check out the rest of the videos on my channel for more content all about that topic, and don't forget to hit the like symbol on this video and subscribe to my channel too. And if you're thinking of starting a nonprofit, be sure to check out my website, foundertofulltime.com. I've got some trainings and resources up there for folks who are on that social change journey. So before we get into these 7 examples of social enterprise organizations out there making an impact, I want to just pause and take a moment to define what social enterprise is for those of you who might just be learning about this concept for the first time. Essentially, a social enterprise is when you are applying a market-based or business-based strategy or approach to addressing an unmet community need or tackling a social problem. It's kind of like combining the social impact mission of the nonprofit world with the revenue-generating model of the business world. And to clarify, social enterprise just refers to the approach you take, the business model of your organization, not its tax or legal structure. So a nonprofit can be a social enterprise, or a for-profit business can be a social enterprise. You can do the social enterprise model with either type of organization. So now I'm going to get into these 7 examples of social enterprise organizations to illustrate my point that you can be either type of tax structure, business or nonprofit, and be making an impact in the world and also generating sustainable revenue. So for each of the 7 examples I'm about to share, I will say what structure it is, whether it's a nonprofit organization or a for-profit business. I will share how it makes an impact in the world, and then I will share how it generates revenue to remain financially sustainable. All right, let's jump in. Example number 1 that I'm going to share is Tala. This is a for-profit business social enterprise, and it makes an impact by helping those folks around the whole world who don't have a credit history build a credit history through their smartphone. And the reason they're focusing on this particular topic is because they learned that 30% of the global adult population does not have a credit history. This is important to them because credit history allows you to take out loans and build economic mobility, etc. So in this way, Tala is helping combat global poverty. So how does it generate revenue? Well, Tala generates revenue by offering low interest loans to its users. And this revenue generated supports the rest of the programming that they offer. Social enterprise example number 2 is Carol's Kitchen, and this is a nonprofit organization. Carol's Kitchen makes an impact by helping women emerging from some kind of crisis gain employment. So they offer job training, and they also often hire them to work for Carol's Kitchen, the organization. Now here's how they generate their sustainable revenue. The women that they hire after the job training programs work in the Carol's Kitchen restaurant, and the restaurant of course sells food and beverages in order to cover the cost of its other programs. Social enterprise example number 3 is called Pasture Map. Pasture Map is a for-profit business, and they are making an impact by helping cattle ranchers reduce their carbon footprint while generating and increasing their profits as cattle ranchers. And how it does this is it collects and analyzes data all about grazing, soil quality, rainfall, and other things that might impact a cattle rancher's ability to successfully ranch cattle. Basically, they're equipping these ranchers with better data. So how Pasture Map generates revenue is that the cattle ranchers will pay a reasonable annual membership fee in order to access this live data in their area. The fourth social enterprise example I'm going to share is called Textbooks for Change. Now, Textbooks for Change is a for-profit business. They're actually also a registered B Corporation, which I know I talked about in a recent video too. Textbooks for Change is making an impact in the world by donating about half of its college textbooks to partnering campus libraries in East Africa. And how Textbooks for Change generates revenue is it sells the other half of its textbooks at an affordable price to college students and partnering campuses around the world. And textbooks that are too damaged to be sold or used are recycled. The fifth social enterprise example that I'm going to share is called With Love LA, and I thought that this example was really interesting because they're actually a nonprofit and for-profit hybrid or partnership. With Love LA is a grocery store, cafe, and community program combination. So With Love LA employs locals in their community to work its for-profit arms, so that grocery store and that cafe that I mentioned. And then the leadership also runs these community programs like educational and health classes, a community garden, and they also have some youth internships too. So, and I failed to mention this before, but whenever a social enterprise model is being used through a nonprofit organization, they can also be collecting donations like any typical nonprofit would. So in this case, for example, With Love LA is collecting just community donations through its nonprofit side, and then is generating revenue through its grocery store and its cafe also. The sixth example I'm going to share is called the Asian Health Alliance. And by the way, I will leave the links to these organizations if you're just curious, you want to check out more about them in the description below the video also. So this is a for-profit business. They provide high quality medical diagnostic services to low income and rural areas in India at a below average affordable price. So that is how this company as a social enterprise is making its social impact. They're able to reach people who might not have access to these services, at least not affordably. So providing them at a price that is affordable to them is making a big impact in their lives. And of course, I've already kind of said this, but that's also how they generate revenue, by offering these services at a low price, but those low fees are still helping cover some of the costs of the rest of the programming. And the seventh example I want to share today, this organization is super cool. It's a nonprofit and it's called Develop for Good. So Develop for Good makes an impact by working with nonprofits who might have a web design or a web development project to get those projects completed by university students who have some coding and programming experience and just might want to practice a little bit more, to volunteer to complete those projects. And if you've ever tried to hire someone or do a web design or development project, you know that they can get pretty costly. So this organization, Develop for Good, is helping nonprofits get these projects taken care of at a very, very affordable price, below market value for sure. And the university students hopefully are getting some great experience too, and are generously offering up their time and talents as volunteers. As for how Develop for Good generates revenue, I kind of just alluded to this, but the nonprofits do pay a low fee for the services just to cover the costs of the organization's work. And then of course the university students are volunteering their time. So they're able to apply the revenue that they bring in to covering the cost of their programs, technology, etc. Okay, there are hundreds and thousands of other super cool examples of the social enterprise model at work out there in the world, but I just wanted to share these 7 that I thought were really interesting and showed a good variety of the types of approaches that people are taking. So at this time, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I find social enterprise organizations and efforts to be just super fascinating and creative and innovative. Are you thinking of starting a social enterprise? Have you tried this model before with your nonprofit or your business? Do you think it is a model that could work for you? Why or why not? Share in the comments below and let's see if we can get a fun conversation going. And as I mentioned before, if you are starting a nonprofit organization and you're looking for some extra support and training, check out my website, foundertofulltime.com, for some trainings and opportunities about that. I also do a newsletter for nonprofit leaders and change makers of all types. I typically leave the link for where you can subscribe to that if you'd like to in the comments and the description below, so definitely check that out if you're interested in joining, and of course you can opt out at any time. Finally, if you are on Facebook, don't forget to check out my group, Change the World or Bust. We have over 2,000 people in there from around the world, all wanting to make an impact in their own ways, and it's a great community. So come on by, join our community, and I hope to see you there. Next time, I'll see you later. Bye.